evening and welcome to the Season 2 premiere of The Real Deal, your source for spoiler-free movie reviews. I'm Brandon Macey.
I'm Connor Brennan.
And I'm Nathaniel Ahart.
I know what everyone is thinking. Where's Dominic? Well, unfortunately, Motormouth Dominic has decided to leave the show in pursuit of bigger and better things. So we are very excited to introduce our new co-host for The Real Deal, Mr. Nathaniel Ahart. Nathaniel, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brandon.
Today we are reviewing the reboot of a movie based off of every 90s kid's favorite video game, Tomb Raider. We are very excited to get cracking on our reviews for this film, but before we do that, let's take a quick look at the trailer.
I thought I saw Dad again.
I think I'm going mad.
I've never played any of the Tomb Raider video games, nor have I seen the Angelina Jolie version, so I had no background on this series going into this film, but I didn't think it was all that great. Connor?
I also never watched the Angelina Jolie film or played the games, but no, I probably liked it less than you did.
Nathaniel?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with you guys that I don't really have any background to it, but I actually thought it was okay for what it was, you know.
Yeah, wasn't great, didn't really stand out.
No.
Quite frankly, this film had every action-adventure cliche imaginable. You know, we see a female protagonist, she gets into danger, she gets put in a seemingly unsurvivable situation, there's a bad guy. You know, there's pretty much nothing new about this film. It's your typical action-adventure film. Anybody else want to give their thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with some of the things you said, but honestly, what made me really dislike the film was how it handled its script, mainly.
Yeah, we'll dive more into the screenplay later on. Nathaniel, do you have any overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty middle of the road. I mean, as I said, for what it was like okay, but like still, it's just, I mean, nothing really stood out to me. It was just kind of generic.
But now we're going to talk about the production value of this film. This reboot was directed by Norwegian director Roar Uthag. His name is literally an onomatopoeia. Now, apart from that, this film had a lot of quick cuts and a lot of fast-paced editing that got really distracting when I was trying to see what was going on. So what did you guys think while you were watching this?
Yeah, I definitely agree partially with that. Like, definitely the scene on the boat, but also the lighting was a little wonky there. So, you know, it didn't help. But, yeah, I could definitely see it. But overall, it didn't really bother me that much. Like, you know, it was fine, I thought.
Quirky lighting, shaky camera. It was tough to watch. It was almost like getting vertigo while watching a film. Connor?
Well, I agree about the shaky cam and the lighting, but also there's a prologue that gives a backstory, and the prologue's unnecessary because when Lara finds out about what her father did, the same information is given to us again. And also, there's one or two action scenes that don't need to be in there because it's just filler.
Yeah, a lot of this film really is filler, and now that you mention it, the prologue really did seem superfluous. There were a lot of superfluous elements in this film that really weren't contributing to the overall plot at all. We need to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to give our thoughts on the screenplay, which I thought was subpar, below average. And so we are going to talk about the screenplay when we come back. You're watching The Real Deal. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Real Deal Season 2 premiere. Today we are critiquing Tomb Raider, and now we are at that point in the show where we discuss the screenplay. So, gentlemen, good script or bad script?
Neither. It doesn't really stand out. There weren't, for me at least, there weren't really many cringeworthy moments, but I was just like, okay, like that's fine. Like nothing's really snappy, nothing really moves within the the lines. It was just all right.
Yeah, I have to agree. The screenplay was pretty subpar, pretty average, as I said. And there's one thing that's pretty disappointing, really, is that there's a point in the film that's supposed to be a big plot twist, but it wasn't exciting. It didn't feel all shocking to the audience
Yeah.
when this plot twist was revealed.
I can agree with you on that because I kind of saw it coming. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of predictable.
Yeah, it made sense.
Yeah,
like,
one word I can use to describe this script is predictable.
Yeah.
But Connor?
God, you know what actually made me angry about the film? Like how, because you know the film, a lot of the films about Lara Croft trying to move past her father being missing for a while. I mean, that's fine, but I think the film's adherence to that plot point really undermines her character. It's just, it does it to a point where, I don't know, she turns out to be weaker than the film makes her out to be. It doesn't make sense. I just think in a world where we now have movie characters like Wonder Woman and Shuri Okoye and Nakia from Black Panther, this is unacceptable.
Yeah, you know, Lara Croft, if anyone who's a big fan of Tomb Raider, they see her as this big action hero, and she didn't really seem like the kind of action hero that we expect her to be, especially at the prologue and at the beginning of the film. We just see her as this quirky young woman.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to disagree to an extent because I definitely see where you're coming from with that. But I definitely feel like there were strong aspects of her character. But I definitely see where you're coming from with the over-reliance on that plot point.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I'm not saying she's not shown as strong, but as the film progresses, the adherence to the whole father plot line just makes her weaker. I mean, the film doesn't consistently keep her a strong character. Not even when she has one of those becoming a warrior woman moments when she's getting a bow and arrow out.
I mean, I thought the bow and arrow thing was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I'm not saying it isn't. But.
All right, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the underwhelming talent of this picture and the critiques on the performances. Stay tuned. Welcome back to The Real Deal. We are critiquing Tomb Raider this evening. Now it's time to give our thoughts on the performances of the actors. This film stars Alicia Vikander, Dominic West, Daniel Wu, and Walton Goggins. I had to Google these names. Gentlemen, were their performances up to par?
Well, I thought they all did okay. Alicia Vikander, I think, especially did well. I mean, they were all good, but the problem is their characters weren't exactly needed. Well, most of their characters anyway.
I think Daniel Wu's character didn't serve as big of an influence in the story, at least in the second half.
I agree.
For sure. Yeah, no, I think the thing that makes this film stand out to me at all is Alicia Vikander. I think she's a great actress, and I think she makes me care about the character of Lara Croft, you know, even in the slightest. But the other characters, you know, like, they're pretty just average. And I think that also goes back to the script. Like, the script didn't do them any favors. Some of them were just kind of, like, tossed off to the side, you know. So.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to give a good performance when the script isn't that great. But, you know, Alicia Vikander, she played Lara Croft very well.
Oh, absolutely.
She really stood out in her performance, but of course she's supposed to because she's the protagonist. None of the other major characters really stood out to me that much.
Well, probably the most pathetic was the villain, Walter Goggins. I mean, he keeps saying he wants to get back to his family, but he comes this close to being a cheesy B-movie villain.
He's like on the borderline,
Like, he could have been so much more than what he was. Like, you know, like you said, he talks about this desire he has to see his family and get off the island. He said he couldn't do that. We don't really see much of an exaggerated effort to really accomplish his task. You know what I'm talking. Do you guys know what I'm saying? He really underplayed his emotions. Is what I'm trying to. I guess was what I'm trying to get at. Stay tuned after the break. We'll be giving our final thoughts on this film as well as our IMDb ratings. Don't go away. Welcome back to The Real Deal. Gentlemen, I think we had a pretty good discussion today on critiquing Tomb Raider. And I think to our conclusion, we have decided that it is a below average film. So now we're going to give our final thoughts, rather. Nathaniel, what do you think?
Yeah, as I said, just middle of the road. I think overall, though, it is a step forward for video game films. I really think so, but I mean, with that being said, that's a really low bar to begin with, and I don't think a good video game adaptation is going to come anytime soon.
I think that's a good point to make. When we talk about video game films, they can be very terrible if they aren't done correctly. But as not great as this film was, it could have been much worse.
Oh, yeah.
So, good job to Roar Urthang, whatever his last name was.
It's all right.
For not totally screwing it up. Connor, what do you think?
Well, I obviously am less enthusiastic about this whole thing than you are, and not counting the original Tron, I haven't seen any other video game movies. I just looked at this as a film, a standalone film. So, as a film, I think it really disappointed me. I mean, I wasn't expecting much, but could have been a lot better than this.
Yeah, you weren't expecting much because I didn't tell you to expect much.
Well,
we saw it on different days. We didn't see it as a group like we usually do. I think it's time for us to give our IMDb ratings. I am giving this movie 4 stars out of 10.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm probably being a bit too generous, but I'll give it a 6. It's fresh for me, but you know, only because of Alicia Vikander. Like, she adds something to it. You know.
She does add something. She's a very standout character, and I liked her. Connor, what are your ratings?
3.
3 stars out of 10.
Yes.
Raider, I'm sure.
We will be back in 2 weeks for episode 2 of season 2. But until then, have a good night. This is The Real Deal.